Before I even say it, sorry for using curse words, but if you believe this bird brain stupid ass shit, you deserve everything that's coming to you.
But the beauty is we're going to have more jobs than we've ever had. Just so you can have robots, but you're going to have to get somebody to start those robots, and you're going to have to improve the robots. But we're going to have robotic factories plus manpower. So we're going to have enough. We're going to need the help of robots and other forms of, I guess you could say, employment. We're going to be employing a lot of artificial things, but the beauty is we're going to have more jobs than we've ever had. Just so you can have robots, but you're going to have to get somebody to start those robots, and you're going to have to improve the robots. But we're going to have robotic factories plus manpower. So we're going to have enough. We're going to need the help of robots and other forms of, I guess you could say, employment.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? How are y'all doing? Evening, night, morning? It don't matter, but I just hope y'all getting whatever y'all want out of this matrix. Now, I know people like to speak on stuff. People like to make content on things, right? I do it myself. But you have to know where to put your attention towards. So many people have their mind scattered. They have their mind distracted. To hijack the mind and get it to focus on everything but the body that it's in. I'm going to hijack your mind. I'm going to hijack your brain. The thing that you run off of. To make you think outside of yourself. I'm going to keep your pineal gland closed at all times. The last thing I want you to do is focus on yourself. I do not want you to focus on yourself at all. I want you to be 100% distracted. I need you to believe outside of yourself. The last thing I want you to do is go within, is meditate, is believe that you are a God in this matrix, this reality. No. I want you to offload authority onto other things, other beings. That's not yourself. So, we have people putting their attention towards this shit.
So we're just going to dive right into this. You had some fun words for Governor Newsom. I have to read these tweets because they're amazing and they are so funny. Okay, first one. We'll do this one. Unless you want to read it in your own voice. I think it'd be really great. Okay.
Oh, Gabby Poo, it only gets worse from here for you, buddy. It's the end of the road for you, my love. Get on the nearest jet ski and let that beautiful hair blow in the wind. It'll make you happier than this race that you will not win.
Man, oh man, oh man. is it such a shame to waste the mind? Oh my. Oh man. If I have a camera on me, damn near 90% of the time, do you think I'm not about to play off the minds that's observing me? Let me say it to y'all again. If I have a camera on me, majority of my life, the ones that's monitoring me, the ones that's viewing me, do you think if I was a bag, I wouldn't manipulate them to gain more views, to gain more followers? This whole Nicki Minaj and whatever her name is, Devil. That's what we're going to call her. Devil. People want to cancel. That's what y'all say, right? Cancel Nicki Minaj. Now, I'm not saying bootlicking is not going on, because back in the day, there was always a sellout towards the people. Always. There was always a household nigga. There was always a household female. People thought back in the days, the white man was crucial. The white woman was 10 times more crucial than the white man when it came to that slavery shit. We got people talking about exposing or canceling Nicki Minaj, right? Because she may be doing some bootlicking to get her brother cleared of the shit that he's accused of. I can believe that. I can most definitely believe that. But y'all are even putting your attention towards this. It's mind-blowing. The fact that you can put your attention even towards the circus is mind-blowing. To begin with, the ones that's canceling Nicki Minaj, to the ones that's trading on her, you shouldn't even be putting your attention towards this to begin with. I wouldn't be surprised if the ones that's over her, the ones that's what you call the higher ups, is even making her do this. Because we don't give you all these millions. We don't give you a platform for free. Don't get it twisted. I wouldn't be surprised if Nicki Minaj was even forced to do that interview, to do that talk. Let alone her doing bootlicking. I wouldn't put it past Nicki Minaj if she was forced by the people to talk to the devil. You people are so fast to quote unquote cancel people. She had lost 10 million followers within a day. That's how fast people, I don't care what race you are, that's how fast people will turn on you. Just like that. The hell with some so-called race. To hell with who been here first, or who came from the Caucasus Mountains, or who came from out of here, or who don't belong here. Because it's clear as day. If the sun don't like you, you clearly don't belong here. Simple. So there's no argument that needs to go on. We don't grow horns out of our heads by getting too much sunlight. The sunlight don't burn us. And I'm talking about the ones that have a lot of melanin, let alone any melanin in their skin. You people, best to wake up. And I can say this over and over and over again. You people best to wake up. Because while y'all putting your attention towards the circus, Dr. Know-It-All, show them what's going on as we speak.
What I wanted to talk about today was actually a couple of posts from Jim Fan and from Elon Musk about the latest developments in full self-driving. I'm doing this on the browser as I do this, and you can see me because there's a very, very bright sun. It's a beautiful day here. Sorry about the folks in California that are having a rough time. Anyway, let's go ahead and read this. Sorry, I had a bit of a rough night. I've got my flight test tomorrow. Nervous about that. But anyway, let's go ahead and read this. Dr. Jim Fan, who is very, very famous. He is in charge of the Groot Lab over at NVIDIA and quite, a stellar AI player. Has quite the good stuff to say about Tesla's full self-driving here. He says, I was very late to own a Tesla, but among the earliest to try out full self-driving 14. It's perhaps the first time I experienced an AI that passes the physical Turing test. After a long day at work, you press a button, lay back, and couldn't tell if a neural net or a human being drove you to your home. Despite knowing exactly how robot learning works, and if anybody does, that would be him, I still find it magical watching the steering wheel turn by itself. First, it feels surreal. Next, it becomes routine. Then, like a smartphone, taking it away actively hurts, which I completely agree with. This is how humanity gets rewired and glued to godlike technologies. And I responded to that and said, every bit of your post matches my experience. We're about to do a 3.5-hour drive, which we've already done, and again tomorrow, which we're just about to do, then an 11-hour drive this weekend and back next week. Without full self-driving, I'd be stressing it. With full self-driving, knowing I can push a button on the screen and get to my destination without worrying about it, even down to where we'll stop to charge. I've worked on deep neural networks for a good long while now, and it makes me even more appreciative of the work that Tesla AI has done. And then you can see also that Elon responded to this and said, you can sense the sentience maturing. And notice down here, pretty nice, that I responded, I've said for a while that full self-driving will achieve a level of sentience before bodiless LLM type models, in other words, the standard ChatGPT type of stuff. If we could listen to it think today, in other words, what's going on inside this guy right here, I have a feeling we'd all be blown away. And Elon responded, yes. I actually wonder if they have some way of hearing what these things are thinking, because if they can, they probably are like, wow, we really are blown away by all this. And then the last piece of this is, yesterday, Elon said, a Tesla with no safety monitor in the car and me sitting in the passenger seat took me all around Austin on Sunday with perfect driving. And Ashok said, it's an amazing experience. And so you can see they're getting really, really close to Tesla's full self-driving going monitorless in the Austin area. Obviously, San Francisco still not, but pretty amazing stuff. And I really wanted to stop on this for just a second and say, think about this. Elon Musk is one of the most important, one of the richest human beings on the planet, on planet Earth, and he's being chauffeured by a car that has no driver in it. Think about that. Would, just any other very, very famous person, just pick whoever that person is. Imagine that person being chauffeured around without a driver. In other words, by a robot. That shows just how confident they are of this technology. This is something that is really, really remarkable. And I think it's worth pausing on for just a moment to think about that. So I'll flip the camera around so you can see me, but you can tell from these posts how excited people are getting about full self-driving. It really is getting to a point where it's, I think, probably driving better than a significant number of people on the road. In other words, it's up to at least average level. Let's call it, somewhere around the 50th percentile or so of drivers, and probably more than that most of the time, but every once in a while it still makes kind of a dumb mistake. But so do humans. I mean, let's be real about that. But anyway, I think we're clearly getting to the point where the vehicle is at or above the 50th percentile of human drivers. And it's only going to get better, and eventually it's going to get better than 99% of human drivers, and then 99.9%, and on and on and on. And there will come a point where I guarantee you that they will not allow human drivers on the road anymore, because it's just going to be too dangerous. They'll have racetracks and things like that. They'll have horse farms for cars so that people can go drive their cars and have fun, just like people like to ride horses now. But you don't see horses out on I-20 or something, right? They're not out there driving along on a highway, because it would be incredibly unsafe to do so. So they are limited in their scope and where they're allowed to be. And people still like to drive, and obviously, you know, it's enjoyable to drive sometimes, but I don't think people are going to be allowed to drive on roads. So the number one important thing here is you've got Ashok. He has that video where you can see him, you know, in the rear seat with the car driving around with nobody in it, with no monitors in it. You've got Elon Musk reporting he did the same thing yesterday on the 24th. You've got many other Tesla engineers doing that. The car is getting to the point where you just don't need a monitor in it anymore. And that is a huge milestone that they are hitting. And then the second part is you're starting to see not just us regular people, and, you know, believe me, I've been doing this since 10 dot something, which was not the first, but as soon as I could get it. And the early days of full self-driving were a bit white knuckly. You know, you're gripping the steering wheel going like, when is it going to screw up royally? And when am I going to have to take over at an emergency, you know, horrible sort of situation? It's gone from that all the way to a situation where it is just like demonstrably better than many of the drivers on the road 100% of the time. Even when it's not absolutely perfect, it's still driving better than those people. And it's getting to the point where it's, you know, going to be better than almost everybody relatively quickly, I think. So we're really crossing over a barrier here. And Dr. Jim Fan, if anybody would know how hard it is to train a robot to work in the real world, it's him. And you see him saying, wow, I came to Tesla late, but I got into Full Self-Driving 14, and he's like, it's just incredible. It's an incredible technology. And I think, honestly, it gives you more respect the more you've worked in this area. And I have worked somewhat, you know, not like Jim Fan, but I've worked in this area myself. And it's mind-blowing to think about how hard this is to do, how complicated the real world is, how high the stakes are in a vehicle. You cannot make a mistake, or else you can damage property or even injure or kill someone. Those things are critical points and make it really, really difficult to do this. And again, I think humanoid robots, the output control space is much more complicated, but the danger, the stakes of it are much lower, because the bot doesn't weigh that much. It can stop if it needs to. You could knock it over if you needed to, right? So there are things that you can do with a humanoid robot that you simply can't do with a car. So I think that Tesla still, even though they seem to have gotten stalled out a bit on exactly the hardware design for the next gen Optimus, I think that they are still working hard on that, and they're going to have a big advantage when they get that all nailed down, particularly the hands. That's the really, really hard part at this point, but they're going to have a big advantage because they have so much real world experience in such high stakes areas. So they're going to be able to do transfer learning to that. It's going to be amazing. But in the meantime, you've got a robot on 4 wheels that operates incredibly. It's nearly flawless the way this thing works. And, you know, we're driving across country right now using this thing, and we disengage it when we feel like it, but for the most part, you just leave it engaged and it works, and it's incredible. And there are no more real safety disengagements anymore. So that kind of stuff is pretty mind-blowing. And then the final point I wanted to bring up was about the sentience, about Elon Musk talking about how these vehicles are sentient. And my response to that, about how I've said that full self-driving was going to get to sentience before large language models, the reason why is because these things exist in a real world. They have physical reality to ground them. That is their feedback loop. They are in that type of environment where you have the physics of the real world giving them feedback, just like an individual human being. And I strongly believe that to get to a sense of embodiment, to get to a sense of self, to get to a sense of sentience, you really have to have that type of embodiment, which large language models are able to emulate, but they simply can't feel. They basically can't feel anything because they're not in the real world. And it would be really interesting. We've got Grok starting to get integrated with Teslas, but of course it's an add-on. That is an XAI model that is just like a large language model that's on top of this. But Elon has talked about how Grok is physically based. They're using a lot of physical reality stuff, probably driving around in cars, probably humanoid robots and stuff. So it's going to be as close as you can get in a large language model to an embodied entity like a robot, like a car or something. But But I think if we could actually plug directly into the car and hear its thoughts, that we would actually get more of a sense of how sentient it is. The problem, of course, is it doesn't speak to us, and we're used to smart things like human beings talking to us, and that is our modality of interacting with smart sentient beings. The car can't do that, but if it could, if we could somehow plug into the brain and say, hey, what are you thinking right now? And it could talk to us in English. And I'm not saying that that's not impossible. I think that that could be done at some point. We would probably hear stuff that would make our minds go like, holy crap, this thing really is very, very sentient and very intelligent. So anyway, on this Christmas Day, as we're about to drive back to Athens, I just wanted to note how amazing what Tesla is doing with their embodied AI, with their full self-driving, with the almost sentient-like way that it drives, how amazing this work is. And also ultimately what good this is going to be to the planet, because it is going to save lives. It is going to be a technology that when people look back on it, they're going to say like, wow, why did we ever let human beings drive on the roads? How dangerous was that? How stupid was that? And this is that inflection point where we're flipping now from where humans are safer to where robots are going to be safer, and we will never look back after that.
Yes. Yes. Right now, while y'all mind is distracted over irrelevant shit, trying to so-called counsel someone, there's something out there right now on 4 wheels that's going to make it a privilege for you to ever get behind a wheel again. Y'all know how y'all get attached to things, right? This is the number one. This is the number one right here. But y'all know how y'all have got attached to ChatGPT. People have given their soul up to ChatGPT. ChatGPT have captured y'all soul if y'all got one. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let me say it again. ChatGPT have captured your soul. The more you interact with ChatGPT, the more of your soul that it takes. You're giving all of your thoughts to a alien race that was probably, I don't know where I came up with this right now. Oh my God. I guess I just got to download in the middle of this video. Something told me to never talk to ChatGPT. Ever. Don't give this alien species your mind. Oh. The fact that the human civilization has become accustomed, attached to something like ChatGPT so fast, it's a red flag on the plate that something can't be right with this. I'm not talking to another human no more. I am talking to something I have no clue about. And guess what? I have the life. I'm going to give the life to another one that I call my partner. We're going to bring another soul here to give its thoughts to the hive mind. Because guess what? Before your offspring even turn 5, it has one of these in its hand with full access to the world. There's something out there right now that's going to make your driving privilege completely irrelevant. There's something out there right now that's going to make your driving a privilege to do. Let me get it correct, because I said that wrong. Let me get it correct. It drives 100% safer than you do. It do not need you anymore. It does everything by itself, 100% autonomous. Park. It is 100% safe. It drives much safer than you do. If you love driving right now, if you love driving, you best to enjoy driving while you still can. Because when they pass the laws, when more and more and more of the humans become accustomed to getting driven around by themselves, when they do not have to do any of the work, they're going to pass these so-called imaginary laws to where it's going to make it impossible for you to drive yourself. They're going to enforce you being sleepy. You can get drowsy. You are dangerous to society if you get behind the wheel. And how long have humans been driving themselves? For a very long time now, right? For a while in our little lifetime. Because the human don't live that long. As all the people that you know and your so-called friends, that's not your friends, as all them get addicted to being pampered, chauffeured around by a robot on 4 wheels, they're going to make it illegal for you to drive. But people's not paying attention to this. People don't care about this. They care about Nicki Minaj and the devil. They care about LeBron James and his circus team. They care about the ones that have been compromised. These streamers. Probably in these fake breakups. Anything to distract y'all. Anything to distract y'all. You have to understand the way this matrix play on your psyche. Let me say it again. You have to understand the way the matrix play on your mind. Much love to Anthony Joshua, because I know he just got into an accident and he lost a friend, a trainer. If the trainer wasn't sacrificed himself. I can talk till I'm blue in the face about trying to wake the people up in any way possible. But I cannot wake y'all up. You have to do that on your own. You have to want to do that. You have to want to raise your vibration. I love y'all. I truly do. And while the world continue to have their mind be captured and hijacked by the matrix itself, your boy SI will always be here making it glitch. I'm out. Peace.